Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the trade targets for round 13. Probably going to be a shorter video as there are only really realistically about 8, 9, 10 targets or so that are actual legitimate targets to get, as we have only got the Freo, Brisbane, St Kilda and Swans off their bye, and I wouldn't be trying to, especially with the way it's going to look with the round 14 and 15 guys. I would even be starting to offload them, so I wouldn't be adding any premiums from them just yet. You sort of have to wait for round 14 guys till the round 15 bye, or round 15 guys till the end of the bye. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, especially because there should be a lot more content coming out in the near future. And let's get into the video. So as you can see here, if we set it up, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So if we set it up to Brisbane, then we go to 3 round averages. I'll make this even bigger. You'll see here that Rich is too old to possibly choose, as he's only played 6 games, average of 76, and you can easily get caught out in an injury game here. I'm pretty sure this was also an injury game, and then this might have also been an injury game here, and then he's had some, as you can see, some time off as well. So I wouldn't be going for him. McInerney, I think there's better ruck. There's obviously the 2 big rucks, so I wouldn't be going for him. Hugh McCluggage is average 80, but having a good stretch, basically just off this 128. Danaher's a key forward. Sorko's suspended, and then you get down to guys averaging 75, which just isn't good enough. So then we go to my team, and do we have any Brisbane guys in here? We have Neil, Ashcroft, and Dunkley. Most people would have Ashcroft and Dunkley. I think Neil is the one that we can go on here, because if you look at those last 3, he's gone 320 through his last 3, which is 106.7. And then last 5, I think he's around that 100 range as well, 101 through the last 5. I think that is a very good option. I think he just had a slowish start to the year with a 72, 94, 104, 76, 116, 70. Very inconsistent, where he's starting to rack up the sort of consistency. And and he's also got Hawthorn, then the Swans. The Swans will probably tag him with Rowbottom, but I think he can fight through that tag. Then he's got St Kilda, who I'm pretty sure if we go over to here, we go over to defensive positions, and then we go to L10. St Kilda inside mids is plus 4.35, 4.36, and then also plus 7.47, offsetting the Swans, which could be a tougher matchup for them. Then he's got Richmond and the Eagles, and if we look here, Eagles are plus 7, and then Richmond is plus 2.95 in the last 5. And then we go over to L10, and West Coast is plus 8, and Richmond is plus 1.8. So those are 2 positive games for him. Then he obviously has this run here around 18 and 19, and we could look to trade him out to someone else in that time, because I think by then I'll have my everything sorted, etc. I'll have probably out of the Seamus Mitchell trade that I'm looking to do post-buy. So here, I'll have 2 weeks of someone hopefully going big and making some cash to be able to go up here. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it is just that we have to hope that I have some money in the bank to be able to do something. But that's still like 6 rounds away, and a good 6-run stretch here where he's basically all positive. He should be, so he could easily go 105, 110 in that stretch. And then Melbourne, if I even look at it, what is Melbourne looking like? Melbourne is only minus 0.26, and I don't think they'll tag, so he could stay in that game as well. Then you've got Geelong here, so even I'm just looking at this, and Geelong's minus 3, so it's not even that bad. And have they played those guys? He got a 94 against Melbourne. Hasn't played Geelong yet. Played against the Suns 117, so that's a good sign. And then Freo, what did he do against Freo? Has he played Freo? Played Freo for a 119, so that's a good sign. So yeah, it's just about getting for Neil. The only thing I'm worried about is these 2 games here, as he's got Adelaide. And how did he do against the Crows? 100 against the Crows. Even that I'm not worried about. And then Collingwood and St Kilda as well. And Collingwood, he went 76, so a little bit worried about that. But outside of that, Neil looks like the guy this week that if he can remain a hundreds guy, like if he has the fixture to go with it as well. As also, if you look at that fixture, it doesn't look like too many tagging teams. Like Hawks may tag, but I don't think they will. To be honest with you, I think they got to go with Newcomb, Will Day, Warple, etc. like that. I don't think they'll put a tagger in there. Swans will put a tagger in there. St Kilda might, but I don't think they will. Richmond won't. Eagles won't. Melbourne won't. Geelong might. Geelong probably will put O'Connor on him. Gold Coast won't. Freo I don't think will. Adelaide won't. Well, Adelaide will probably just put like Rory Laird on him or something. And then you've got Collingwood who won't and St Kilda who might. So he really doesn't have any taggable games. And then so that's basically Richmond there. There is absolutely no one from Richmond. Then we move on to Fremantle. And Fremantle has obviously Brayshaw, Sarong, and Young. This isn't updated, I don't think. Is it? No. Yeah, now it is. Okay. So yes, that's I've been doing stuff on different like AFL fantasy browsers, etc., and it didn't update for me. So I was wondering why Hayden Young wasn't in the side, as from memory he was. So I'll just change that around. And that because I expect Chesser to play. So for Freo, you have the big dogs in Brayshaw, who's gone 122 last 5. I think that was mostly because of the 150 odd. He does have a 130 here. And he is the most worrying one, as his low is a 72, then a 90-99. So he is a very, very worrying one. But I think I've only got to survive another week without him also. I think I can get to him next week, because there might be a world in which I do trade Petrarca but to get up to him, but we'll have to wait and see. Sarong is a guy that's been in and out of my team this week, but isn't in my team at the moment because of Luke Jackson, effectively, and I do not like his the injury timeline for Darcy, even though it could blow up in my face that Darcy is out for 3 weeks. That could blow up in my face, but I think Darcy's probably a 2-weeker or even just a 1-weeker, like they've been saying, and that's just not enough time for Jackson to gain enough in cash gen or whatever. O'Meara, I think he's out suspended. Ryan, I just don't like his option ahead of Young. I think they're using Young a little bit more. If we look at AFL DFS kick-ins and we go to Freo 2023, you got Young and Ryan both on 6. Well, Young's actually been getting a lot more of the kickouts, but we'll see what happens in the next game, whether they go with Young or Ryan. But I still think that Ryan isn't the good choice here, because if we look at here, 27, 4, and 3, and Ryan's sitting at 21, 1, 11, and 1. I just don't like the consistency of Ryan. 69 here, 73, 80, 85, whereas Young is sort of, he's got this one bad game, and then the rest of them are at least above 75. So he can just hopefully he will be the one that just hangs out at my my D6 sort of role, and he's close to it anyway, being a D6. So hopefully with the run that he has against Richmond, if we look at the AFL web, this, and then we go back down to defensive positions, L10 against Richmond. And he would be a sort of wing defender / Desi kicker, and they're both positive, so that's good. And then you've got, and then I'll check the L5 as well. Let's check that. Richmond is minus 0.99 and minus 5.67, so that's not the greatest. And then Hayden Young's got Giants L5 for this is minus 2.69 and plus 3.49. And then they've got Giants -7 and then -0.17. And then you've got, the only problem I have with this is that it's basically choosing between Ryan and Young, because I need basically, I cannot go for another midfielder, basically, is the whole thing, I don't think, unless I go for another forward. But yeah, so I don't know what I'll do in the end, but I think just going another defender will really help me, and I think it will help you guys choosing one of Ryan or Young. And I think Young is the easier choice to go to, as 7.16% owned and 8. They're both lower percent owned, as a lot of people are stacking up on Sarong and Brayshaw. Brayshaw's going to be the tough one this week. I just hope he doesn't go absolutely huge, to be honest with you, as I just don't see there being much value in going for Brayshaw and Johnson over Young and Neil. I don't see there being much value, as you're basically saying that either Johnson has to go above 70 or so, which I don't think he can do, especially with Fife probably taking some midfield time, and you've got Brayshaw needing to go like 130 or so, compared to Young and Neil just going 90, 95, and plus compared to Brayshaw at his average going 114, and then Johnson going above his average, almost at his top of 70, gets them to 184, and that's basically the average of Young and Neil, whereas that's Brayshaw's L3, a little bit above his average, and that's Johnson at his best. Because even if you look here, we're scrolling down and down and down just to get to Matt Johnson, L3 of 57. And you look at here, it's full game here, a sub game here, and a full game here. That's 2 full games where he's gone 63 and 68. So I think he will gain cash, but I don't think he will be the value option. But I'll have to look and see if that actually is something that I want to go down, is having another, I guess, rookie guy in to be able to get I guess, another, because like it also is the fact that I think Johnson could have that breakout game or whatever. It's just I don't know when it's going to come, and I don't know if he is really going to get I guess the matchup, should I say, to be able to get it. If we look at L10 for Richmond, it's positive. For GWS, where's Richmond here? Just positive. For GWS, it's just positive. You know, it's a tough one. I think Johnson is certainly an option, but I'll have to wait and see. I'll probably end up going with Johnson just because it's 25%. It's a lot less risky than like going against it, and it will get me Brayshaw. I can probably get Brayshaw and then Lloyd as well, I think, is something I could do. So if I do this and I do Johnson, I don't know if I can get I can get Brayshaw. So go here and then just put in Chesser here. There we go. And then we go to Neil and we change him out for Brayshaw, because having Brayshaw will be huge. Brayshaw there, and there you go. So I'd have 298k spare, but I'd have a lot of cash gen in that. But I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 9 definite scorers. As we quickly just do this. And then we'd have 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We'd have 15 definite scorers, and then you'd have Sheasel, Keys, Ashcroft is probably the next 3, and then you'd have to just hope that you get a good game out of Wilmot, Chesser, Wardlaw or Johnson. And yeah, I think Johnson could be a good cash gen option, as you're just going to gain a lot of cash out of him most likely. as he's got a break even, I believe 14. I believe it's 14. I believe I checked this like a couple of days ago. Yeah, 14 for him. So I think he could definitely be a good option if you think he's going to go 70s or whatever, because 70 is a good sort of like 18th scorer, I guess. So I guess it's a pretty good option, because you're going to be able to game with Johnson probably close to 200 or so K very, very quickly. And like Wardlaw sort of. And then you just got to find a way to be able to, I guess, trade him out in the future. But it gives me an option or ability to be able to get like other top guys next round. I mean, I don't think it probably is the best way for cash gen purposes, because if you get Johnson in now, due to his 14 break even, he's most likely going to have a decent game, I should say. And also that my team next week will just be something like this. We'll just change that around, and then yeah, I think that's basically it, to be honest with you. So I'd go into next round with that, and then I'd be changing some. I'd be getting rid of Will Day for Young probably. Whitfield would probably go at this point for another. It'd be tough because I have. He'd have to go out for another forward, and there is absolutely no forward, so I'd be talking about getting a. Yeah, no, this is a little bit awkward, it seems like. But then again, I can get another midfielder and just play them and have something similar as Wilmot. Wilmot obviously will still be in the side, but it'd be like having because I might be trading out Petrarca. That would be fine. Going up to Petrarca up to the likes of a not necessarily a Sarong, but someone of that someone high up there. We also have the potential of Mills coming back as well. So I said this was going to be short, but it's probably going to be long again. And then you've got the third team that is coming out of the bye is St Kilda, and you've got Steele, who can just basically straight swap in for any of your premiums that are still on the buys. You got Sinclair here, who I don't really like terribly much, to be honest with you, and I think 96 average, still 36th best in the comp, but he's so inconsistent. Was actually inconsistent. He's consistently just low, to be honest with you. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 tons in 11 games, and 1, 2, 2 70s, 1, 2, 3 80s, and 1, 2, 2 90s, it looks like. So he's only really got 4 scores above his average at the moment, rather than 7 below. So I think I just don't like the look of him. I think Crouch has got propped up his average by Steele being out. And if we look at L3, you've got Crouch at 96, but that's mostly just because of one big score. And I think that's also because it's against Hawthorn. I want to see him against Sydney to be able to really see if he's got that mojo back, as he could be a guy that we trade in. But I think there is options outside of getting Brayshaw, so I don't think I'll go with this trade. Just because I think there's Crouch, Steele, etc. that you can go to. And I don't want to be locked on with all my mids already just by having another, like, sort of not rookie, but not mid-pricer. So if I go get Young here and then just swap, we'll swap all in that, honestly. Exceeded the salary cap. 1 second. Need to go and get rid of Brayshaw first and get him back down to nil. That's the way I'll do it. Once I finish this, we'll get onto the Swans, which shouldn't be too long, as there's only really Lloyd, I guess, for the Swans. So it was Young, and then it was swapping around probably Chesser and Young, and then swapping Stewart back to here, and that to there. So that would be the team. That's probably going to be the team that I go in with, as I still have 5. So that's 10, 12, 16 scorers. And then you've got Sheasel and Keys that I'm not 100% confident on, but I still think that they can produce, meaning that I've got 18 pretty decent scorers. And then you've got Ashcroft, Wardlaw, and then Wilmot, if he gets his good role, could produce a 70, which could be a good banker for an 18th man. And Chesser, I don't know what he's going to do, but if he can get a 50 or something like that. But he's probably going to be the sub, I reckon, which could lose some value. But now we move on to the Swans, and basically you'll see here that it's down to about 2 guys. Again, Parker's out suspended. Don't really like the consistency of Blakey. Don't like the consistency of Heaney. And Fox, I think, has just had a good little stretch, including one big game, a 96 here. Like, you look at here, he was 45 or so down there. Rowbottom hasn't really gotten back to it yet and pulled out a 94, but then 62-88, so he's not really consistent enough. Hayward, Wicks, McInerney, Laddams, you're already down to guys in the 70s. So basically, if you look at the side now that I have, Lloyd and Goulden are the only 2 Swans that are in it, because I think Warner, you can get Neil in for Warner. Where is Neil? There he is. I was wondering what it was. Where he was is he should be sitting at M5. So I think Neil is the better option to Warner, but if you wanted a risky option, Warner has only gone under basically 99 3 times, 53, 56, and 61. His L5 is ridiculous, of 107, L3 of 108. So I think if you wanted a guy that you think could go pretty big, I think you could go for Warner, as his worst games are only like 15 touches here. I think he got tagged in this game, to be honest with you. Had a bad game against Melbourne, and then I think O'Connor tagged him against Geelong. So that's the only problem I see with him at the moment, is that he is very, very taggable. But and I wouldn't be getting him in round 14 because he's got Brisbane at the Gabba, and that is a very tough game. But then he's got the Eagles in round 15. So he's probably going to be a guy that I have to miss on, as I'm really looking at the St Kilda trio, I should say, in Crouch, Steele, and Sinclair, and looking at them in their game against the Swans on Thursday, and if I can jump on them next week. And Parker's coming back as well, and is Parker a little bit more consistent? Parker is not really actually that much more consistent. L5 of 101, last 3 of 92, which includes a 75 and an 88. I could jump on Parker, but I think I'd give Parker a week and then jump on him against the Eagles. As what did he do against Geelong? He went 80 against Geelong, which is a much better result. I think Parker is, well, then you have Mills coming back, so maybe, it could be an interesting one. I think Mills is the pick post-bye, so the Mills will come back for Brisbane. Then you could honestly pick Mills up against West Coast. If we look for Mills, he could be a guy that you pick up against West Coast. How did you go against Geelong? He went 87 against Geelong, so basically he's gone 75 as his low. So I think Mills will be the guy that you pick up when he comes back. Give it a week for his break-even to reset, as I don't think it will take too long for his break-even to reset. Mills, 149 break-even. So I think if you give him a week to reset, you're gaining ultra value there. If he goes 110 against the Eagles, you're getting a guy for, give or take, 700k, 710k that can go 110 plus. And so I think Mills is definitely the option once he comes back. Give it a week. Or you could be risky and just say he's playing West Coast and just go after him. I mean, if we look here at Mills, I need to wrap this up soon. Mills, come on. Mills. You will see here against West Coast, he's got an average of 89 fantasy points. But if we look here at the last couple of games of West Coast, 2022, 106, 116, 69 in 2020 in a shortened season, in a shortened game, 108. So the last 3 full games that he's played against West Coast, he's gone 106 plus. So I think that is definitely, and also this was a back pocket game, it looks like here. If we look at his heat map, yeah, he was playing in defense, so that's why his role was different. He was probably playing as a tall defender, to be honest. And yeah, so he basically has gone 90 plus since every game since 2018 against the Eagles that he's played his midfield role. So I think there is definitely a guy there that you can get and pick up and get a lot of value in. So that's basically the video there. There isn't much more to go on. So that's the video there. And I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.